I want to do everything, so I do nothing.
Yeah, that's from a video that's been going around about feeling ambitious and lazy at the same time, and it's so well done. She actually gives you for real reasons, why, and she's right about every single one. She's just not coming at this as a mental health professional. So she can name the pattern, as many of my self-aware clients would in a session, and I I will come in making sure we actually relate it to the wound, to the core wound underneath. What she treats as 4 separate problems is actually one problem at different stages, essentially. And so, well, I'm a certified and accredited trauma-informed coach, and I'm going through her video moment by moment in this video to show you exactly the one thing underneath all 4 of these separate struggles that she basically presents. Some of this is going to feel obvious the second I say it, essentially, but there are some parts of it that I don't think you will see coming. So get a drink, get some snacks, and let's unpack some inner processes, shall we?
I want to do everything, so I do nothing. I know you. You think you're gonna do something great with your life. Young, ambitious. I know because there are 16 tabs open in your browser right now. That New Yorker article, the sourdough recipe you never got around to, your conversation with chat about the pros and cons of going to law school, the flights to Japan. You keep clicking between them. You keep promising yourself you'll come back to each one, but you don't. I know because you tried to read 2 pages of Crime and Punishment and gave up after 10 minutes. Again, I know because last night, at some point, you ended up on the floor, rotting. I know because the list of lives you want to live keeps getting longer. Writer, lawyer, chef, C-suite exec, someone who can speak Chinese, French, and Italian, someone who bakes pastries in the south of France. Here's the thing. I've spent most of this year wanting things. I've wanted to write a book. I've wanted to start a company. I've wanted a different version of my apartment. I've wanted to film. And in all those wantings, I was very productive in my head. The actual gym attendance is a different story. The page has a bookmark on page 47 that hasn't moved since February. The apartment looks the same, maybe even worse. I still burn my chicken, and my Chinese has disintegrated to the level of a 6-month-old. The truth is, since college, options have only multiplied. Every life I scroll past looks possible. Social media makes all these lives feel close enough to touch, but too far to actually reach. So how are we supposed to choose? I am addicted feeling of being motivated. There's this adrenaline, this high, this buzz that comes when you get a new idea in your head, and suddenly I can see how my life is supposed to go. Every time I get a new idea, the first 48 hours are a blur. It feels like the best version of me has arrived. I start a new Notion page. I pour my heart out onto this freaking page. I imagine the first day of doing it, the first week, how it feels when I finally accomplish the idea.
It's
and
intoxicating.
I lay it out beautifully in my own head, and the dreaming feels like working. That's a trick. The mapping out, the planning, the imagining. I'm genuinely productive in those 48 hours. I'm producing dopamine and not much else. Then it gets hard. You have to sit down and maybe write the draft for the millionth time. You need to go to the gym when it's freezing and you just want to stay inside and order a burrito. By the end of the week, the energy that I had on Monday has completely been depleted. And then the dream dies.
Oh, man.
But when I say I'm doing nothing, I'm not actually doing nothing.
Right.
I'm scrolling TikTok. I'm watching the people who are doing the things that I said I was going to do. I'm watching them shoot their videos in their penthouse apartments. I'm watching them ride the Hajang Loop. I'm watching them live the life that I planned so perfectly in my head 48 hours ago. My eyes are open. My phone is hot. The dream is still in there somewhere. It's just being pummeled, hour by hour, by the spectacle of other people doing it instead. And that's a cycle that I keep getting trapped in. The dreaming, the dying, the rotting. Every few weeks, new idea, same arc. And here's what I think is underneath it. The dreaming is escape. The first 48 hours of a new idea are rare hours where I don't feel like I'm trapped in my own life.
There
I'm
you
not
go.
in this apartment with this body, with the same routine that I'm doing day after day. It feels like a new world, a new possibility, a new path has opened up. There is a gap that exists in all of us. The version of us
Okay.
feeling of being motivated. There's this adrenaline, this high, this buzz that comes when you get a new idea in your head, and suddenly I can see how my life is supposed to go. Every time I get a new idea, the first 48 hours are a blur. It feels like the best version of me has arrived. I start a new Notion page. I pour my heart out onto this freaking page. I imagine the first day of doing it, the first week, how it feels when I finally accomplish the idea.
It's
and
intoxicating.
I lay it out beautifully in my own head. And the dreaming feels like working. That's a trick. The mapping out, the planning, the imagining. I'm genuinely productive in those 48 hours. I'm producing dopamine and not much else. Then it gets hard. You have to sit down and maybe write the draft for the millionth time. You need to go to the gym when it's freezing and you just want to stay inside and order a burrito. By the end of the week, the energy that I had on Monday has completely been depleted. And then the dream dies.
Oh man.
But when I say I'm doing nothing, I'm not actually doing nothing.
Right.
I'm scrolling TikTok. I'm watching the people who are doing the things that I said I was going to do. I'm watching them shoot their videos in their penthouse apartments. I'm watching them ride the Hajang Loop. I'm watching them live the life that I planned so perfectly in my head 48 hours ago. My eyes are open. My phone is hot. The dream is still in there somewhere. It's just being pummeled, hour by hour, by the spectacle of other people doing it instead. And that's a cycle that I keep getting trapped in. The dreaming, the dying, the rotting. Every few weeks, new idea, same arc. And here's what I think is underneath it. The dreaming is escape. The first 48 hours of a new idea are rare hours where I don't feel like I'm trapped in my own life.
There
I'm
you
not
go.
in this apartment with this body, with the same routine that I've been doing day after day. It feels like a new world, a new possibility, a new path has opened up. There is a gap that exists in all of us. The version of us.
Okay. So, yes, you feel this way because your brand new idea is functioning as an escape. You see, you're not dreaming of the outcome, you're dreaming of the relief the idea produces, or more specifically, the relief the outcome of the idea produces. You see, so the high of those first 48 hours, the dreaming about it, the planning, it's all coming from a false sense of distance from your current life, okay? While you're dreaming, you're not in this apartment, okay? You're not in this body, you're not in this routine anymore, at least in your head. So each new idea loses that high because once execution starts, execution requires you to sit back down inside the exact reality you were trying to leave. Do you see what I'm saying? The creator frames the gym, the blank page, the burnt chicken as the hard part, but it isn't hard because you need to do something, okay? It's hard because it's the return trip, It's like going on the most amazing vacation, on the most amazing trip, in the most amazing place, having the time of your life and meeting amazing people, and then going back to your daily routine. Most people don't get to actually execute their ideas because they're not usually about building them. The main fantasy is to just not be here in this current life. So whatever option you choose, it's good, right? So if you're here, know that the daydreaming that she's mentioning is actually cognitive bypassing. I explain more in my mini course on Patreon, specifically about cognitive bypassing and the rest. The rest of the types of bypassing. But what it does is it helps you distract yourself from the actual emotion you're feeling underneath the daydreaming. Usually in this case, and I'm not talking about the creator, but usually the emotion underneath that we find is desperation. You are desperate to prove that this isn't it. That this apartment, that this body, that this routine, these are just not the final version of your life, right? That you're still someone things can happen to, not someone whose life is just happening to, right? This is usually a fear I see in my clients, a fear that you already kind of became whoever you were going to be, and the new idea becomes almost proof of life against that fear. Of course you will experience a crash after, right? but they have completely different exits, you see. Now, let's talk about what stuck is. In a nutshell, feeling stuck is very often related to not grieving something. In detail, it means your brain is not trying to keep you happy, it is trying to keep you safe, and safe to your brain means predictable. I actually go through that in my mini course on bypassing versus processing emotions. So when life asks you to change, to leave a pattern, to stop playing the role you've always played, you're asked to let go and grieve the version of you you're leaving behind. But instead of going into the grieving process, your brain reads the change as danger, not opportunity. And in response, it does what it always does. It builds a story. You know, the dreaming we were talking about before, that's literally it, the story. The problem with creating a story is that you usually position yourself in one role, in a role. And specifically, in this case, you position yourself in one of three roles, okay? Probably I'm going to put it somewhere here. This is the Karpman drama triangle, but it's basically reinvented because this triangle usually refers to the relationship between you and an abuser or another person, right? But in my version, I reinvented it in such a way to describe the relationship you actually have with yourself. Like, it describes specifically a cycle of the relationship you have with yourself. So first, we have the perfectionist, you know, the one that is successful, someone who helps, the one that does the right thing, okay? Doing well, doing good is the goal here. But because that role is unrealistic and most probably you don't have the tools to actually start, okay, what you're dreaming of, you slip into the second role, the self-doubter, okay, the one rooted in fear. This one usually comes with, you know, lots of what ifs. What if you're wrong? What if you're not good enough? What if they're right? And once you've doubted yourself enough, once you have tired yourself of that, you will want to start fixing things. So you will either blame yourself for failing or find someone to blame. You know, blame the world, blame your childhood, your parents, the politics in your country, the economy, whatever it is, okay? Which makes it so that you slip into the last role, the persecutor. Okay, so when you're dreaming and planning everything in your mind during those 48 hours, your mind has already placed you in a perfectionist role. And the moment you're in a role, your choices collapse into two. Stay or go, fight or shrink, good or bad. That's a pre-written script that you already know by heart. And this is exactly an indication that you might have split mentality, black and white mentality. Now, even if that script hurts you, remember that the brain doesn't choose what makes you happy. It chooses what it's familiar, okay? Because what's familiar is predictable, and therefore you feel a false sense of control. Getting unstuck would mean choosing the unfamiliar, but that comes with no guarantees, right? No guarantee of predicting who you are outside of these roles, no guarantee if you can even survive outside of them after all. So your unconscious mind keeps running the old program while your conscious mind builds a new identity on top, telling itself it's ready, it's different now, it's healed. You know, the gap between those two is exactly where the feeling stuck is found, and that gap is grief. You see, leaving the old role means losing the version of you that was built around it. Maybe the one who identifies as the fixer, the one who stayed small so others felt safe, the self-sacrificing one, the one who performed so love had a reason to show up, the people pleaser, right? Those are identities you built when you had no other option, and they don't just dissolve the moment you understand them, okay? The exit here is going through the loss of who you had to be, so your nervous system finally can register that you're not in danger anymore, essentially. That's when the story loses its grip on you. That's when new choices actually become available outside of these three roles, right? Not just imagining new roles, but becoming these new roles, playing them on the front stage. I don't know if it makes sense. I hope that you guys understand what I'm trying to say here.
Imagines and the one that does. I've tried a few
Sorry,
explanations
what?
for this. The version of us that imagine opened up. There is a gap that exists in all of us. The version of us that imagines and the one that does. I've tried a few explanations for this. I've done a little bit of research. None of them are wrong, but none of them feel quite right either. So I want to walk through it and talk with you guys about my findings and just my thoughts on feeling stuck and what that actually means.
Okay.
Here's what people usually say. This is their stereotypical advice. They will tell you that it's decision paralysis. You have too many options. It's modern life. The world has gotten too big and the choices have gotten too many and the brain cannot pick. They will reference Sylvia Plath. Like every Tumblr turned Substack girl, this quote will be pinned to the Pinterest.
The one with
she sees her life branching out before her like a fig tree. And on every branch is a different version of who she might become. A husband in a happy home. A famous poet. An editor in Europe. An Olympic lady crew champion. She wants every fig, but choosing one means losing all the rest. So she sits in the crook of the tree, starving to death, while the figs wrinkle and go black and drop one by one to the ground at her feet. It is a beautiful and terrible passage, and it's somehow on every 20-something-year-old's mood board. They will quote that passage and tell you that's why you can't move. That's a perfect visualization of it. They will also tell you to just start. Take the first step. Done is better than perfect. They will tell you discipline is the answer. They will reference grit and willpower and that one study about marshmallows. They will tell you to choose joy. Pick the thing that lights you up. Trust your intuition. Your authentic self knows what's best. I have read all of these. I've followed all of these. None of them have actually fixed it. Not because the advice is wrong exactly, but because the advice assumes a few things that doesn't seem to be true. The first thing it assumes is that I don't know to just start. I do, but knowing doesn't actually fix it. The second assumes that being stuck is just one thing with one fix. Stuck is not one thing. I have come to realize that feeling stuck isn't one thing. It's around 4. They overlap, they feel similar, but they have completely different exits. Now let's talk about what stuck is.
Okay, let's.
First one, too many options. This is the fig tree, the version where the world has too many possibilities and every choice forecloses the other. Pick the editor in Europe and you don't get the husband and kids. Pick the husband and kids and you don't get the famous poet. So you sit at the bottom of the tree and just watch the figs rot. This version of stuck, it's real. I think we've all felt it, but I think it's much rarer than we make it out to be. Most of the time, what we call too many options isn't actually that. It's comfort we don't want to leave. It's the relationship that's fine but going nowhere. The job that we've been meaning to quit for 2 years. That Sunday night where we said we would finally start writing the book, but just watch Law & Order instead. Or maybe it's a refusal that we haven't really admitted to ourselves yet. When we said that we really wanted this thing in life, but for some reason we just never seem to have time for it or get around to it. Or maybe it's just the rumination and the loop and the overthinking in our brain that just keeps going and going in circles before we could even get to the picking part. These are 3 different conditions, and they're all living under this choice metaphor. All of them are not a problem of options, which is why the standard advice, just pick one, pick the one that lights you up, trust your gut, often doesn't actually land. This advice is built for a version of stuck where decision is the actual problem. But most of the time, decision isn't the problem at all.
Okay, so yes and no, because in truth, too many options is a problem because for many, not choosing is what allows the comfort to exist to begin with, right? Remember how the brain chooses what's familiar, what we talked about before? Well, not choosing is familiar. Why? Because choice implies commitment. Commitment implies closing doors. Closing doors implies loss, and loss requires grief. Remember exactly as we said before. Every version of you that you haven't ruled out yet is still technically alive, at least in your head. The one who moves abroad, the one who leaves this relationship, this person, the one who finally writes the book, right? As long as you haven't chosen, you see, none of them are dead yet, so you don't have to let them go either. The moment you choose, one or multiple of those versions die. And those versions die the more you commit, you see, because commitment is not just the moment you decide, just the moment you choose something. Commitment is actually the Tuesday, 3 months in, when it is hard and it's boring and you're not sure anymore this is going anywhere and you want to quit and just sleep. That's commitment. It's choosing the same thing again without the high of the new beginning, without the certainty, without the proof that it was even the right call, you see. That is what commitment actually asks of you, more than a choice. See, it's a daily return to something that no longer feels exciting and might not yet feel worth it. This is why we talk about too many options. It's not just you have too many options, you don't know what you decide. You do know what you decide. It's a question of commitment, right? And this is where those unclosed doors create issues, right? Because if you never grieved the versions you did not choose, they do not disappear. They wait. And the moment commitment gets difficult, which it always does, let's be honest, your brain offers you the most natural exit available. The fantasy. Remember the dream, the version of you who took the other path, where none of the hard moments have happened yet, where it is still all potential and possibility, where it's still fun and exciting. You are comparing the lived and perfect, difficult reality of your choice against the untested, idealized version of the one you did not make. This is why people leave relationships that were actually right for them. For instance, why they quit the thing they said they wanted, why they go back to their ex, the old city, the old version of themselves. You see, because the door was never 100% closed. So when things got hard, walking back through it felt more like an option than what it is, which is regression.
The second one, too much comfort. There's a 19th century Russian novel called Oblomov.
Oh!
Oblomov? I'm butchering that. It's about a young nobleman who, over the course of hundreds of pages, cannot get out of bed. Not because he has too many options, but because his bed is warm, his apartment is quiet, his life is fine. The cost-benefit of doing anything looks bad. The Russian critic who reviewed it coined a term for this, Oblomovism, the seductive pull of complacency. And I think this is a version of stuck that gets misdiagnosed as a fig tree the most. People say, I have too many options, when what they actually have is too much comfort. The exit isn't choosing between options, it's choosing to get out of bed.
That exit, choosing to get out of bed, doesn't usually work because nothing outside of the bed is offering an immediate reward. The difficult thing about choice and commitment is they do not come with immediate feedback. Okay, like you choose the thing, for instance, you do the thing and then you wait for a long time with no proof it's gonna, return any investment. There's no dopamine hit, there's no sign that the getting out of bed was worth it. Your brain, which runs entirely on the question of whether something is safe and predictable, now has to contend with a second question. Is getting out of bed worth it? Is it really? Well, if the reward is delayed or uncertain or invisible, the math stops working. So the bed wins automatically. It's not a problem of willpower or discipline. It's because your brain is doing exactly what it is designed to do, which is conserve energy and avoid what you understand, at least, as unnecessary costs. Because deep down, you don't believe getting out of bed is really going to help you. Yeah. That makes it an unnecessary cost for the brain. Okay. This stage of passivity comes after the daydreaming stops working, the daydreaming we've seen before. So your brain offers you the version of you who is not paying any cost at all. That version is the one that stays in bed, okay? That version is not carrying the weight of a choice that has not paid off yet. Of course, it feels better. Of course, you'll stay there. Of course, it's hard to get out of there. So the exit from this version of stuck is not making the decision of getting out of a bed. The decision is almost irrelevant at this point. The exit is actually understanding that your brain will not produce motivation before it sees evidence. And evidence takes time. Which means for a while, you need to become the version of you that wants to choose the thing you want in the complete absence of feeling like it or seeing any results. But that brings us back to the grief we've talked about before and the roles you play.
The third one, a quiet refusal. There's a story by Herman Melville called Bartleby the Scrivener. Bartleby is a clerk in a 19th century Wall Street law office. His job is copying legal documents by hand. He's good at it, but then one day, his boss asks him to proofread a document. Bartleby looks up and says, I would prefer not to. The boss is confused, and he lets it go. But the next time, same response. then Bartleby stops copying altogether. Then he stops leaving the office. He sleeps there. He barely eats. The boss tries reason. He tries threats. He tries offering money. Nothing works. Bartleby keeps saying, I would prefer not to. He never raises his voice. He never gives a reason. He doesn't argue. He just refuses. The boss
It's not really a
moves
refusal.
the entire firm to a different building to escape him. Bartleby stays. He gets arrested for vagrancy. He dies in prison, still refusing to eat. He wasn't depressed in any way. He wasn't paralyzed by abundance. He was refusing. And his refusal was impossible to argue with because there was nothing to argue against. He didn't say no. He just said, I would prefer not to. And I think there's a version of stuck that works exactly like Bartleby's. It's the version where you keep saying that you want to do something, you want that identity, you want that life, but somehow you never do it.
Right.
The book that you've been meaning to write for 3 years, the career change that you've been researching since 2022, the conversation you've been needing to have with your family for 6 months. You plan it, you think about it, you make outlines, but you don't actually do it. You are the boss in the story, the version of you that wants it, that keeps trying every approach, reasons, threats, new systems, discipline, but none of them actually work. You keep telling yourself that the problem is willpower, or focus, or finding the right system, but the consistency is informational. If you've been not doing the same thing for years across every system that you've tried, then not doing is telling you something. The version of you that decides is the boss. The version that acts is Bartleby. The boss keeps trying again. Bartleby keeps refusing. And Bartleby doesn't argue, he just doesn't move. Maybe you don't actually want the thing. Maybe you don't want it enough. Maybe you want the identity of the person that does a thing more than you want the work of getting it. Maybe you've wanted it once and you don't want it anymore, and you just haven't realized that yet. That's what your Bartleby has been refusing. You just haven't asked him yet. See, the exit for this one is the motivation. The boss in the story tried motivation. It didn't work. The exit is honesty. Maybe you don't actually want this thing. Maybe this path isn't for you.
I wouldn't say you don't want it enough. You want this thing, perhaps, but you want it to be easy. And I do not mean that as criticism, by the way, whatsoever. Before you get to the Bartleby stage, you spend a long time in the previous stage, right? The not getting out of bed. And at some point, that stops feeling good-ish or reward-ish for your brain too. Because now you're living a life that feels like it's taking more from you than it's giving. Okay? That is the moment Bartleby arrives in your psyche. In fact, the original creator says that he refused. He never refused to do something. To be fair, he never said no. He said, "I prefer not to." If your baseline is already overwhelming, any additional effort that you did not choose, that you did not want, and cannot see an immediate return on, gets filtered through one very simple question: do I want to do this? And almost every time and almost everything, heart gets the same answer. I would prefer not to if I have to change. This is not the same as not wanting the thing. You still want it. You want the book, you want the career, you want the conversation. You just want to want it from a version of yourself that has more ease, that has more skills. And because that version is not here yet, Bartleby keeps sitting at his desk, going nowhere. The exit here is not honesty about whether you want it or not. I mean, it could help. Again, I'm not saying that she is wrong whatsoever. I'm just providing my perspective here. The exit, in my opinion, is honesty about whether you're creating fun in your life or waiting for something exciting to move you, if it makes sense. Like this step, the Bartleby step or the Bartleby stage, often is when we stop creating play in our life. Our life starts becoming dull. There is nothing you look forward to. And so you start waiting, essentially. If you're there, do not wait. Organize something fun. A trip. A trip feels too much. Just go and play some board games. Go and read a book. Go out on a coffee shop and explore a new coffee shop. Like, literally, for the brain, anything new can feel exciting. Even you walking a new route back home. That can be interpreted by your brain like, oh my God, an adventure. So do that.
Time it's telling you something that you already know or half know. You just didn't want to know it yet. The fourth one is for the overthinkers.
Okay.
If you're the type of person that can describe you're stuck in 7 different ways and still can't move,
many of you
this
out
one
there.
is for you. You are ruminating. The morning when you've been at your desk for 2 hours and the cursor just hasn't moved. The conversation that you've been replaying so often in your head that you can't actually remember what was said anymore. And the looping isn't neutral. I think we treat sitting with a thought as healthy reflection, but it isn't. The longer you stay in the loop, the worse you feel. And the loop itself is what's doing the damage. There is a part of the brain called the default mode network. It's a circuit that runs when you're not focused on a specific task. In a healthy brain, it cycles in and out. But in a stuck brain, it gets stuck on. It runs on its own steam, way after the original feeling has actually passed. It runs even after you've forgotten why you've started. Which means the loop isn't deciding. It's just looping. And you can't think your way out of a loop because the thinking is the loop. This is the version of stuck, where everyone telling you to just decide is being useless. Deciding requires the loop to break. The loop will not break by being talked to. The loop breaks by being moved through. A walk, a friend that you can call, cold water on your face, some breathing exercises, anything specific enough that the loop can't fall back into. The exit for this one isn't more thought, it's less.
First things first, completely unrelated. This woman is so beautiful. I don't know if anyone agrees, but I find her ethereal. But anyway, what the video describes here is bypassing, as we said before, is specifically cognitive bypassing. The DMN is the brain network that is responsible for self-referential thought, for autobiographical memory, for imagining the future, okay? And basically the DMN is the part it's the brain network that activates when you're bypassing, as opposed to when you are mindful, when you're present, when you're meditating. The network activating is usually the present focused attention. It's not named that way, but I don't remember exactly the name at this moment in time. So, as we said before, this is your mind doing what minds do when there is an uncomfortable feeling that has not been made safe yet. Like you don't feel safe yet to feel. So your mind keeps moving, it keeps analyzing, it keeps producing thoughts, because stopping those thoughts means stopping somewhere uncertain, and uncertain feels like danger because it's not familiar, remember? I hope you're paying attention. The walk, breaks the loop for 20 minutes. The cold water breaks it for perhaps 10. I want to be kind here, maybe 30 if we're really indulgent. But the problem is that then it starts again because you did not go anywhere. You just interrupted the signal. You haven't addressed the root of it. The long-term exit is not about breaking the loop. Because to be honest with you, breaking that loop is impossible. Depending on the way that your brain is structured, you might always have that loop. It's actually, instead of breaking the loop as an objective, the objective should be no longer needing to break it. You learn to let the mind loop while you stop making it your job to respond to the loop. Okay? The thoughts keep coming. The doubt keeps talking, the circular questions keep circling, and you let them, the way you let traffic noise happen outside the window that, you're not looking at. What I mean is, stop relating to thoughts as if they require your immediate attention or you need to immediately believe them, okay? What you need to focus on instead is the body, not the content of the loop, the body that goes through the emotional impact of the loop, right? Is there tightness anywhere in your body? If yes, where? Is there heaviness, right? Can you soften it slightly? Are your brows furrowed? Is your jaw tight? Can you breathe into the tension without trying to explain it or try to stop it? Okay. What people get wrong very often is that here, you're not trying to feel better. You're trying to build the capacity to feel uncertain without immediately needing to make it stop. That capacity does not come from understanding the loop or breaking it. It comes from practicing repeatedly the experience of uncertainty without fixing it or fearing it. So if you want to develop this emotional hygiene, I have a 5-step emotional regulation process that you can access, okay? Noticing the loop and being able to sit inside the loop without it running your life are 2 completely different skills, and only one of them actually gets you out, okay?
So if you were to ask me which type of stuck that I'm stuck on, I would say I'm stuck at different ones at different times. Sometimes I'm in 2 versions at once. Sometimes I'm just switching in a single afternoon. But this is the whole point of the video. Stuck isn't just one thing, and it doesn't just have one solution. When I am in the fig tree version of stuck, I try to ask myself, what really are my options here? Do I actually have all these options, or am I just imagining these options? Usually a couple of the figs aren't even real. I just thought that I was supposed to want these figs. When I'm in this comfort version of stuck, I think that's when I try to just do one small thing. Truly just take it day by day. When I'm in the refusal version, I think it takes me a while to realize that the thing that I'm stuck on, the thing that I want, might not actually be what I want at all. But I think it's good to just be present that this option could always be there. And when I'm in this loop of stuck, I think doing physical activities really helps. I think the worst thing you can do is just be rotting and thinking and cooped up in your apartment.
Yeah, we are definitely going to agree there. But to be honest, it's not that these are different types of stuck. But if that framing helps you, use it, okay? It's not necessarily wrong either. In truth, what she's describing are different stages of being stuck as a concept, right? You first are sustained by the daydreaming and the planning, then you hit the commitment issue to then move into the Bartleby example. Right? The Bartleby example being when at some point the effort of your life starts to outweigh the effort of the life you said you wanted. So, of course, what does the mind do? The mind loops in thoughts, you see. These are not 4 separate problems with 4 separate solutions, which is why you can interrupt any of these stages and it will work for a while, okay? Like the walk breaks the loop, the one small thing gets you out of bed. The honest conversation with yourself can quiet that inner Bartleby. But if the same stage keeps coming back, if you recognize yourself in this video not once but every few months or weeks, know that probably the root has not been touched yet. That's why you repeat the cycle. And yes, physical movement helps, getting out of the apartment, using the body, just dancing around, you know, not just sitting and scrolling and rotting is genuinely better than the alternative. Just, you know, keep in mind it is a band-aid, not a cure. The work underneath it is longer and less satisfying or fast than a walk. And it is the only thing that actually changes the pattern for good.
I know you. The dreaming, the dying, the rotting, repeat. Your next dream is coming this week. It's going to feel like the one. It's going to look different from all the others. It won't be. Unless something is different about us this time. I know which kind of stuck I'm in. I think you know yours too. I want this time to be different. I don't know yet if it will be. But we can try.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, we can try.
I want to...
Oh, okay. Once was quite enough. Okay. Well, so... If you came in thinking you had 4 different problems, well, you actually have one. So remember, if you want the 5-step emotional regulation process I teach my clients and that actually works, I've seen it working, you can find it in the description box below. It's a live workshop I held with people. You can hear their questions, you can see their reactions. We work a lot with the body, right? So go through the process itself and it's basically you gaining a skill for life. Now, if you would like to become a member of my Patreon, you will find the mini course I made on the difference between bypassing and actually processing emotions that I was talking to you guys about. And there's where you can also find the lesson on grief too, which I find very important. And to my inner circle on Patreon, well, you already know it, but this video exists because of you. You are supporting the time it takes to actually sit down and break something like this apart instead of just, you know, posting a hot take. that's funded by you being a member, being a supporter. So thank you, genuinely. You are my sponsor, basically. I am not, sponsoring with brands, but I am sponsoring with my actual community. My community is my sponsor. So just so you know, the space wouldn't exist without you. Now, tell me in the comments which one you recognize yourself in first, okay? I read all of them and I might not respond to all of it, but I'll probably make the next video out of whatever comes up the most. Or, you know what? I want to keep doing this as part of a sponsored type of video, as I said, a gift from my community to the wide public. So tell me in the comments what you want me to react to next, okay? Or talk about. And, subscribe if you want to be here when I do. I really hope this video helped you in some way, or at least you enjoyed the conversation or my voice in the background. Take care of yourselves and remember to stay golden, guys.